She wasn't planning on bidding that day, just passing by, hoping for a distraction from the bills piling up at her shop. But when Claire Jensen laid eyes on the forgotten storage unit padlock rusted, tarp sagging over something far too large for the space a part of her wouldn't walk away, what she found when she pulled that tarp back would ignite a mystery buried for decades, and a mission that would change everything she thought she knew about her past. Before we dive in, let us know where you're tuning in from. We love seeing this community grow around the world, and if stories like this inspire you, make sure to hit that subscribe button because tomorrow's episode, it's even more unbelievable than this one. Let's begin. The sun was already high over the West Side Industrial Park when Claire Jensen pulled into the cracked lot outside Hillside Storage. Her truck coughed twice before turning off, leaving only the tick of a cooling engine and the buzz of cicadas. She hadn't meant to come. She was on her way to pick up brake calipers from a supplier downtown, but a faded cardboard sign taped to a stop sign caught her eye. Storage auction today, cash only. She sat there for a moment, debating. Her bank balance had just enough for parts, gas, and coffee if she skipped dinner. But auctions were Claire's soft spot rusted tools, forgotten machines, broken things begging for second chances. So she tightened her ponytail, grabbed her gloves from the dash, and walked in. The crowd was thin, maybe a dozen people. Most were regulars, junk flippers, eBay sellers, older men with clipboards and flashlights. The auctioneer, a heavyset man in an orange safety vest, barked prices like he was trying to start a race that no one wanted to run. Units flew by. One had baby clothes and broken speakers. Another was filled with nothing but rotting cardboard and a recliner with a raccoon-sized hole chewed into the side. Claire was already turning to leave when the auctioneer stopped at the final row. Unit 40, 3B. Last one of the day. No photos, no manifest, cash only. Buyer assumes all liability. He struggled with the lock for a second before snapping it open. The metal door rattled up, halfway sticking, and a thin cloud of dust billowed into the air. Behind it sat a tarp-covered shape, taller than a standard SUV and wider than most trucks. Green military canvas, faded and sun-bleached, drooped over the form like a tired curtain. Tires peeked out from underneath thick, wide tread, military grade. Claire's breath hitched. No one said a word. Starting bid, $300, the auctioneer called. Silence. Come on now. You don't see a beauty like this every day, he coaxed, clearly bluffing. Someone chuckled. Or ever, another bidder muttered. Probably full of mold and rat nests. Claire stepped forward. 300, the auctioneer blinked. I have 300? Anyone else? The silence held. One woman whispered to her husband. Let her have it. Sold. The gavel cracked. Keys were handed over with a shrug. Good luck with that thing. As the crowd moved on, Claire stood alone in the dust and heat. Her boots crunched forward. She reached for the tarp, fingers grazing the coarse canvas. The air smelled of rust and something else. Oil, maybe. Time. With one strong pull, she dragged the tarp halfway down. Headlights stared back. Covered in dust, but lit softly glowing. She froze. No keys had been turned. No ignition had been touched. And yet, from under years of silence, the vehicle had just blinked at her like it remembered something, or someone, and that someone might be her. Claire didn't move at first, just stood there, staring at the two soft halos of light glowing beneath layers of grime. Her heart thudded once, hard, against her ribs. She reached out again, slower this time, and peeled the rest of the tarp off with both hands, coughing as a wave of dust and stale air billowed into the sunlight. What it revealed wasn't just a car. It was a beast, matte black, military-shaped, with angled armor panels and a front grille that looked like it belonged in a war zone, not a storage unit. The frame sat higher than most pickups, with wheels designed for terrain Claire had never seen. No branding, no emblems. Just a single symbol, a black triangle, etched faintly into the driver's side door. The lights dimmed and clicked off on their own. Claire stepped back, breath unsteady. Okay, she muttered to herself. Now we're in it. The storage unit was silent again, but something had changed. The air felt charged. The kind of stillness you get right before a summer storm, electric and heavy. She circled the vehicle slowly, hand trailing over the frame. The steel was colder than it should have been for sitting in a sun-baked metal box. Clean, too. No rust, no flaking paint. It hadn't just been forgotten, it had been preserved. She found the driver's side door unlocked. The interior was all custom paneling. No manufacturer tags, no VIN plate. The seats were leather, reinforced with ballistic mesh. The dash was unfamiliar, built with switches instead of buttons, and a central panel that was completely sealed. No keyhole, no ignition, just a rectangular plate, the size of a hand, with a faint outline glowing under the surface. Claire reached out instinctively and laid her palm against it. A soft chime rang through the cabin. The screen lit up, not bright, just a pulsing white light that turned blue around the edges. Then came a voice. Biometric match? Partial. Clearance code. Jensen 7. System wake initiated. Claire's breath caught. What did you say? The voice didn't repeat itself. Instead, the console shimmered, lines of encrypted code streaming across its face before going dark again. The door locks clicked. Something under the floorboard hummed. And then, silence. Jensen, her last name. She stumbled out of the vehicle and backed away. The sun glinted off the roof of the unit, casting sharp shadows along the walls. She glanced around. The auctioneer was gone. The parking lot was empty. She wasn't just dealing with a weird truck anymore. This was connected to her. Somehow, maybe through her dad, a man who'd never talked about his army years, who died when she was 16, and left nothing but a footlocker filled with tools and metals she wasn't allowed to touch. Until now, she'd never questioned why. But standing in the middle of Unit 43B, with a vehicle that knew her name, Claire realized this wasn't just about fixing what was broken. It was about unlocking what had been hidden all along. Claire drove back to the shop with the vehicle on a flatbed, tarp back in place and ratchet straps tight as iron. The whole way home, she kept checking her mirrors. Not for traffic, for shadows. For anything that looked like it might be following. She told herself it was just nerves, just adrenaline, but deep down she knew better. Whatever she had just unearthed, it wasn't supposed to be found. By the time she pulled into the back lot of Jensen Auto and Diesel, the sun was sliding behind the trees. Her hands shook as she unlocked the garage bay and backed the flatbed in. The trailer groaned as the armored vehicle rolled off the ramp under its own weight, which shouldn't have been possible. The battery was dead. She had checked it twice, but the moment she touched the frame again, something inside had come alive. Claire didn't unload it immediately. She locked every door, closed the shop, and made sure no one was around. Then, in the quiet of her own space, the place her dad had built, bolt by bolt, she pulled the tarp off again and opened the driver's side door. The console was still glowing, dim but steady. She slipped into the seat, heart racing. The same hand panel greeted her again, just the faint outline. She pressed her palm to it. This time, the light blinked once, and the dashboard split open. A smooth black screen slid upward with a mechanical hiss, revealing a second console hidden beneath. Smaller, older. Built like an aircraft instrument panel but simplified, stripped down. There were two switches, one unmarked button, and a slot about the size of a credit card. Claire stared at it. Her pulse drummed in her ears. She didn't know what she expected. Maybe wires, maybe a weapon system, but what she found next was more unsettling. There, tucked into a small recess below the panel, was a worn metal dog tag. She picked it up. Jensen, MT, SFC, Special Projects, Clearance, Trident. Her father. She slumped back into the seat, the dog tag hanging limp in her fingers. She had never seen this tag before, not among his medals, not in the footlocker, not in the carefully labeled boxes her aunt helped her pack after the funeral. He'd never once mentioned a project called Trident. Never said a word about special units. All she'd known was that he did logistics support for the army. But now here was this a tag, linking him to a vehicle that should not exist, one buried in a forgotten unit and unlocked by her hand. Claire reached for the unmarked button. It clicked. The console buzzed to life. And a holographic projection, grainy, blue-tinted, flickered into view. A man appeared. Not her father. Someone else. Military. Mid-40 seconds. Hard face. Clear eyes. He looked straight ahead and spoke. "If you're seeing this, then Michael Jensen's daughter has found the unit. That means it's begun. You don't have long." The image vanished. Claire sat frozen, staring at the empty air where the man had just been. What had begun, and why did her father want her to be the one to finish it? That night, Claire didn't sleep. She tried, stretched out on the old cot in the back room of the shop, still in her work clothes, staring at the water-stained ceiling, but her brain wouldn't quiet down. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the hologram, heard that man's voice. "You don't have long." Long before dawn, she was back in the bay, tool tray beside her, gloves on. She had to know more. The vehicle, she'd started calling it the rig, was still silent, the console now dormant. She tried the button again. Nothing. Whatever had triggered the message was one time only. She opened the hood. The engine inside wasn't like anything she'd worked on before. It looked conventional at first glance. V8 block, custom intake, radiator lines, but everything was too clean, too intentional. No markings. No serials. No manufacturer branding. She leaned in, flashlight in her mouth, and spotted it. A small embossed stamp tucked behind the alternator. Tri-Delta 014. She took a picture with her phone, hands trembling. "Trident," she whispered aloud. Her father's dog tag had that same name. She moved to the rear panel and started scanning for more hidden compartments. Nothing opened. No seams. But then she remembered the glove box. It had been sealed shut the night before. But now, with her nerves steadied and tools in hand, she pried it loose with a flathead and a little patience. Inside, folded like a letter waiting for a stamp, was a single manila folder. She sat cross-legged on the concrete floor and opened it. Inside, a black and white photo of 6 men standing in front of a vehicle just like this one. Younger versions of themselves frozen mid-laugh. Her father was one of them, clear as day. Dog tags out. Grease on his cheek. A red Sharpie had circled his head. On the back of the photo, written in a sharp, tight script, June 97. Fort Harris. Trident classified. If found, burn. Claire stared at it. Alongside the photo was a map, hand-drawn, yellowed, labeled with military jargon she didn't understand, and coordinates that pointed somewhere north deep into Pine River Valley. And, at the bottom of the folder, a document stamped confidential, barely legible. It referenced something called Project Echo Chamber. Next to it, scrawled in her father's handwriting, "Claire, if you ever find this, go to Dave. He knows the rest. Trust no one else." Her mouth went dry. Dave. There was only one Dave she knew who had served with her dad. Dave Whitlock, retired Army mechanic, lived 2 towns over, had a limp from a helicopter crash and a handshake that could break concrete. He used to stop by the shop on Sundays. Used to call her Red when she was 10. She hadn't seen him in years. Claire stood, heart hammering. She knew where she was going next. But as she turned to lock up the shop, headlights swept across the front lot. She froze. A black SUV crept past. Slow, too slow, then disappeared into the night. The rig wasn't just drawing memories now. It was drawing attention. Claire didn't waste time. She packed the folder, her father's dog tag, and a thermos of black coffee into her truck before the sun came up. The SUV from the night before hadn't returned, but she didn't trust silence anymore. She double-checked the locks on the shop, left the bay lights off, and drove east as the morning fog rolled low across the highway. She hadn't seen Dave Whitlock in nearly 6 years. He used to be a fixture in her life. The guy who always showed up with surplus bolts, old stories, and a wink that meant he probably knew more than he'd say. After her dad died, Dave stopped coming around. No call, no explanation, just gone. She never asked why. Until now, she hadn't needed to. Dave's place sat at the end of a gravel road flanked by pine trees and silence. A rusty sign on the gate read, "Keep out seriously." Claire smiled despite herself. Still the same. She honked once. Nothing. Twice. The front door opened an inch, then wider. There he was, older, beard grayer, eyes sharp as ever. He didn't smile when he saw her, just nodded once. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "I found something," she replied. "I think my dad wanted me to." That stopped him cold. She held up the dog tag. Then the folder. Dave's shoulders sagged like someone had dropped an engine block on them. He stepped aside. Inside, the cabin smelled like coffee, gun oil, and cedar. Military plaques lined the wall, none with names. Just medals, dates, and photos with faces blurred out. Claire sat at the worn kitchen table, while Dave studied the folder in silence. When he reached the map, his hand stopped, shook slightly. "Where'd you get this?" he asked, voice low. "Storage unit. Vehicle inside. Unmarked. Console recognized my name. Played a message from someone I've never seen before." Dave looked up. "You didn't press anything else, right?" She hesitated. "Only one button. It showed me a man. Said it started. Said I don't have long." Dave swore under his breath and stood. He pulled a tin from the shelf, opened it, and set a photograph on the table. Claire leaned in. Same vehicle, same 6 men, but one face was circled in this version, not her father. The name scribbled below. Thomas Levant. Last known, Echo Chamber. Claire frowned. "Who's Levant?" "Best operator we had," Dave said. "Brilliant. Paranoid. Disappeared in '98 after Project Echo Chamber got buried. Some say he burned it all down himself. Others think he got disappeared. Disappeared by who?" Dave didn't answer. Just tapped the black triangle emblem stamped into the corner of the photo. "That's not Army. That's something else." He turned to her, serious now. "You said the vehicle powered on by itself?" She nodded. "You brought it here?" "No. It's at my shop." Dave exhaled, stood, and grabbed a duffel from the closet. "Then we don't have much time." "Why?" He paused in the doorway. "Because if it woke up, so did everyone who's been waiting for it to." They reached the shop just after dusk. Claire killed the headlights a block away and rolled the last 100 feet in silence, eyes scanning every rooftop, every alley. Dave sat rigid in the passenger seat, one hand on his duffel, the other near the pistol holstered beneath his jacket. The front of Jensen Auto looked normal. Too normal. No broken lock, no blown door. But Claire knew better. You don't poke something like this without stirring things you can't always see. She unlocked the side door and slipped inside first. No alarms, no flickering lights. Just the rig, waiting. Its headlights blinked once, just like the first time, as if it knew she was back. Dave approached it like a soldier returning to a battlefield. He circled the vehicle with practiced eyes, muttering to himself, fingers brushing the panels. Then he stopped at the driver's side. "You said it recognized your palm?" Claire nodded and demonstrated. The console lit again, brighter this time. Dave swore under his breath. "This thing's adapting. Fast." He leaned in, popped a hidden latch under the dash, and revealed a second input, a port she hadn't noticed before. From his duffel, he pulled a small device, wired with old military connectors and a modern tablet screen duct taped to the side. "Homemade decryption module," he said. "Built it in '02. Never thought I'd use it." Claire blinked. "You've been waiting for this?" "Preparing," he corrected. "Your dad warned me. Told me if the rig ever surfaced, I'd know by one sign." "What sign?" Dave looked at her. "You." He plugged in the module. The rig's screen flickered, then expanded into a full interface. A system Claire didn't recognize, neither military nor civilian. Something hybrid. Symbols she couldn't decipher. Files labeled only with codes. Z1, 8, Trident Core, Levant, failsafe. Then came a soft chime. The garage lights dimmed, just for a second, and every screen, Claire's laptop, the old security monitor, even her digital multimeter flickered in sync. Dave's eyes went wide. They just pinged it. What? They know it's active. They're tracking it now. Claire's voice dropped. Who's they? Dave didn't answer. Instead, he yanked the module free, cut the console power, and turned to her. We've got 12 hours. Maybe less. They'll come at night. Always do. As if on cue, the security monitor blinked once, then went black. Claire ran to the front of the shop, pulling down the blinds. Outside, parked half a block down and just barely visible under the street lamp, was a dark SUV. Same model as the one from the night before. Dave joined her, eyes narrowing. They won't move yet. They watch first. Gauge, who knows what. How much risk? Claire's chest tightened. And when they do move? Dave turned toward the rig. Then we make a choice. Hide it, or use it. Claire looked at the machine that somehow knew her name. Her choice had already been made the moment she lifted that tarp. Now, it was time to learn why. They waited until just past midnight. The street had gone silent, the SUV still parked beneath the same crooked lamppost. Engine off, windows tinted so dark, it swallowed reflections. Claire sat on her rolling stool, one boot tapping, watching the rig. Dave worked in silence beside her. Cables strewn like veins across the floor, his makeshift interface flickering under the soft glow of the console. We're not hacking this thing, he said finally. We're convincing it we belong. Claire frowned. That's supposed to make me feel better? He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into the folder and pulled out the second map, the one her dad had left, annotated in his messy scrawl. He laid it flat on the floor, circled 2 coordinates, and drew a line connecting them. This, he said, is Echo Chamber. She leaned closer. The project? He nodded. Classified development base, rumored to be underground. Built during Cold War, revived after Desert Storm, then scrubbed from existence. They were experimenting with autonomous recovery systems, vehicles that could extract targets without human command, machines that could listen, decide, adapt. AI? Claire asked. No, smarter. Not artificial. Adaptive intelligence. It didn't just follow code. It rewrote it. Claire glanced at the rig. That's what this is? Dave nodded. One of the last units. Your dad helped build it. Levant tried to destroy it. And now, it's listening again. He tapped a prompt on the console. The interface changed a new screen, simpler this time, a blinking cursor. Then words appeared. Voice pattern. Jensen. Lineage detected. Core access requested. Password? Claire blinked. It's asking me? Dave leaned back, arms folded. Try something personal. Something your dad would have used. Claire stared at the blinking line, heart racing. Then she typed, Blacktop 6-7, the nickname her dad had for his first car, the one they rebuilt together when she was 12. The screen paused. Authenticated. Core unlocked. The dashboard lights dimmed, and the voice, the same one from before, returned. But now it was warmer, less synthetic. Hello, Claire. She froze. I was designed to respond to Jensen bloodline clearance. Project Echo Chamber classified this as Protocol Ember. Your presence confirms initiation. What's Protocol Ember? She asked aloud. The screen shifted. Diagrams, schematics, blueprints for the rig's frame, modules labeled Threat Response, Retrieval Lock, and Deep Vault. Then a final screen. Deep Vault contents. File Claire. EXE. Video. M. Jensen. Final. MSG. Claire's breath caught. She clicked it. The console blinked once. Then her father's face filled the screen. Grainy. Smiling. Hey, kiddo, he said, voice thick with something between pride and regret. If you're seeing this, then I didn't make it back. Claire's knees went weak. She sat slowly, eyes locked on the screen. "I'm sorry I never told you," he continued. "I thought keeping you safe meant keeping you in the dark. But I was wrong. You're the only one who can finish this." The screen went black. Dave swallowed hard. "He left you the legacy." Claire stared at the rig. "No," she said quietly. "He left me the truth." Claire didn't speak for a long time. The screen had gone dark again, but her father's voice lingered in the air like smoke, heavy, bitter, impossible to ignore. He looked tired in that video. Older than she remembered. Like the weight of what he'd hidden had carved out years no one ever saw. But his voice, it still had that same edge. The same calm under pressure that used to ground her as a kid when she panicked over math homework or jammed lug nuts. She stood slowly, walked over to the workbench, and leaned against it, trying to steady her breath. Dave gave her space. He sat near the rig, tool in hand, watching the door without really watching her. The screen flickered again. Secondary file detected. Burn file. Access? Claire looked at Dave. "Do I open it?" He nodded. "If your dad left it, it's because he wanted you to." She clicked. The screen filled with static, then stabilized into another video, this one older, shakier, filmed handheld, probably by her dad himself. He sat beside a younger man, lean, intense, with dark eyes that seemed to see more than the camera allowed. Claire didn't recognize him at first. Then she did. Thomas Levant, the man who disappeared. The recording looked like it had been made in a bunker. Concrete walls, exposed wiring. The two men spoke in hushed tones, but the mic caught every word. "They're deploying the rigs without fail-safes," Levant said. "Echo chambers live. One's already in the field." Her father. "They told us they scrubbed the program. They lied. Just like they did about Phoenix Ridge, about the autonomous strike tests." "What do we do?" Levant leaned in close. "We bury it. We lock down the last unit and hide it where only someone who matters will find it." Then he looked straight into the camera. "Claire, if you're seeing this, your dad did what I asked. He kept you out of it, but now it's in your hands." Dave muttered. "He left a message for you 25 years ago." The recording continued. "Inside the rig is a data core deep vault. If it's intact, it has all of it. The project logs, locations, black site names, every protocol, evidence, proof they never wanted seen. If they know it's awake, they will come for it. And for you," her father added softly. "But it also contains the firewall, the shutdown command. You can end what we started, but only if you stay ahead of them." The screen cut to black again. Claire stood frozen. The rig. It wasn't just some experiment. It was a vault, a digital confession. And now it was hers. Dave stepped forward. "That video? That's a burn file, meant to be destroyed if compromised, but he saved it for you." Claire looked at the rig like it was a stranger who just said her name in the dark. "This isn't about fixing a broken system," she said quietly. Dave nodded. "It's about burning down the one that broke it." Outside, the black SUV was gone. But Claire knew that didn't mean safety. It meant they'd stopped watching. Because they were getting ready to move, they started packing before dawn. Claire loaded tools, hard drives, backup fuel cells. Dave brought weapons, nothing flashy, just reliable. A shortwave comms kit, a tactical sat phone wrapped in foil, a worn sidearm that looked like it had survived more than one forgotten war. The burn file had changed everything. This wasn't about curiosity anymore. It was survival. The rig waited silently in the center of the bay, the floor beneath it stained with decades of oil and memory. Claire stood beside it, hand on the fender, eyes distant. She didn't want to run, not from her shop, not from the ghost of her father that still clung to the rafters, but she wasn't naive. Whoever had buried Project Echo Chamber had the power to erase people, and they were coming. Dave climbed into the passenger seat of the rig. "We leave in 10. North route. We hit the ridge line, then cut east." Claire looked at him. "You ever make it to Echo Chamber?" He shook his head. "Your dad did. Said it was the only place the rig would be safe. Said it was shielded. Off-grid, buried deeper than anyone had record of. Then that's where we finish this. Claire opened the shop's front door just a crack. A red laser dotted the concrete at her feet. She froze, then slammed it shut. They're here. Dave didn't panic. He moved like a man who drilled this 100 times. They'll box the perimeter. We've got maybe a minute before they breach. Claire ran to the bay door, grabbed the remote, and punched the override. The steel door groaned, lifting slow as molasses. Another dot flickered across the wall, then another. 2 shadows moved past the side windows, rifles up, eyes scanning. Dave shouted, "Go!" Claire fired up the rig. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the engine roared, not like any vehicle she'd ever driven. It wasn't combustion. It was something deeper, controlled, engineered. The dash lit up. The voice returned. Auto evasion enabled. Route to ridgeline calculated. Protection mode active. Claire gripped the wheel. Well, all right then. The rig peeled out of the bay, steel plates flexing as they scraped the frame. Behind them, shouts erupted. Gunfire cracked. A bullet ricocheted off the rear armor. Another struck the side mirror, shattering it into silver dust. The rig didn't flinch. It drove like it knew fear, like it had felt pursuit before. Claire turned sharply down the alley, tires screaming, and cut across 2 lanes of empty highway. No headlights, just speed and purpose. Dave clutched the dash. This thing's reading terrain 5 steps ahead. It's alive, she muttered. In its own way. In the mirror, 2 black SUVs gave chase, their beams sweeping across the road like searchlights. The rig spoke again. Pursuit detected. Countermeasures. Standing by. Awaiting human override. Dave looked at her. You want to run? Or end it? Claire didn't hesitate. End it. She slammed the override. The rig shifted literally. Panels reshaped. The exhaust hissed. The cabin dimmed. And from beneath the frame, something unfolded. They weren't just running anymore. They were fighting back. The mountain road twisted hard and narrow, sharp turns like knife edges slicing through the early dawn mist. Claire gripped the wheel, every muscle locked, eyes darting between the windshield and the rear view. The 2 black SUVs were still behind them, moving in tactical formation, trying to herd her into a mistake. But her rig now, wasn't giving them anything. The dashboard flickered with data she didn't understand, but somehow felt. It was no longer reacting, it was anticipating. Every rock slide, every bend, every ripple in the terrain, the rig, read it like a memory. The voice returned, calmer now. Proximity alert. 300 meters to extraction point. Deep vault lock, engaged. Final access required. Where the hell is echo chamber? Claire shouted. Dave leaned forward. Should be just beyond the ridge. Look for the marker, a broken antenna, half buried in granite. Claire rounded the next bend, and there it was. A twisted metal mast stabbed into the cliffside, vines wrapped tight around its rusted neck. The rig slowed slightly, headlights flicking to high beam, a glint of steel below the brush. Claire slammed the brakes. The ground beneath them vibrated, and then shifted. A hidden door, flush with the mountain floor, peeled open with a mechanical groan like the earth itself, exhaling. The rig didn't wait for permission. It drove forward, into darkness. Behind them, the SUVs screeched to a halt too late. The mountains swallowed the rig whole. As the doors sealed shut behind them, the noise of the world vanished. Silence, then a soft glow. Lights along the tunnel's edge blinked on, one by one, guiding them downward like runway beacons into the forgotten veins of echo chamber. They emerged into a massive chamber, long abandoned but intact. Racks of equipment, old command consoles covered in dust, and one towering mainframe built into the rock wall still humming. Claire climbed out, footsteps echoing. The rig powered down behind her, its lights dimming to a soft pulse. Dave approached the core. This is it. If we upload the deep vault, the system will push the data upstream to every encrypted node still listening. Media, whistleblower networks, black site databases. Once it's out, it's out. Claire opened the console on the rig's side. The data core, A small silver cube engraved with the same triangle symbol slid free into her hand. She walked slowly toward the mainframe. "This ends it?" she asked. "No," Dave said gently. "It begins something else." She slotted the cube into the port. The chamber trembled not violently, but like something ancient finally waking up. Screens all around them lit up. Photos, maps, redacted files, names, projects, evidence. Her father's face appeared on one, then Levant, then hundreds more. Outside the mountains, satellites blinked to life. Inside the chamber, Claire stared up at the truth not just about a rogue project, but about her father. What he risked, what he saved, what he gave her. Not just a machine, a legacy. The console chimed once more. Deep Vault. Complete. Legacy. Engine online. Thank you, Claire. And in that quiet, hidden place beneath the earth, Claire Jensen smiled, not because it was over, but because she was just getting started.